Hey there, today we're going to be covering the most popular JavaScript array methods. Make sure to stick around until the end of this video because this is going to be a very short one, and once you master these methods, you're going to be able to solve most problems that will come to you as a front-end web developer. Now, before we get started, please hit the like button to support this channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe now so you don't miss my next tutorials. Now let's kick things off with the filter method. The filter method is used to create a new array that contains only the elements that pass a test. So here I have an example of an array of courses. We can see that courses have different prices, and we also have some courses that are free. Now, what if we wanted to show our users only the paid or free courses? For this case, I'm going to create a new variable and I'm going to call it free courses. Now here we are going to call the original array and we are going to apply the filter method. Now we need to pass a function that is going to be applied to every element of this array, and only the ones that return true will be included in the new array. So here, let's pass an argument for each item. So we can call it course. And for every course, we are going to test if the course.price is less than or equal to 0. If this returns true, this specific course is going to be included in the new array. Now we can go ahead and do console.log for the free courses. And I'm going to run this file using Node.js to see the result. So let me open up the terminal. Let me run node arrays.js, which is the name of this file. We do this and we can see that the new list only shows the free courses. Now, if you want to do the opposite, you can just change this to greater than 0. When you do this, the new array will only contain the courses that are not free. We could also use this method to find a specific course. For example, if we were on a course page, we could have a variable called current course, and we would pass the ID through the parameters of the URL. So for example, course number 3, and here we could display a dynamic message saying something like welcome to, and then we concatenate with the course title. We could totally do this with the filter method, but since the filter method returns an array, this is not the best option for this case. So now let's move on to the find method. The find method is used to search through an array and return the first item that matches a condition. So in this case, if we want to find a specific course, we could simply do this. Let's create a new variable called course info. And here, let's call the courses array and let's apply the find method. Now this is going to work in a similar way. We're going to pass a function that will run for all elements. But the difference here is that this time we are only going to have one item in return, the first one that satisfies this condition. So in this case, let's find a course that has the same ID as the one stored in the current course variable. Now we do this, and we can see that we were able to select a single course that matches the current course ID. Now we could generate a message like welcome to the, and then we output the title of the course, and we have a dynamic message. So welcome to the React.js course. Now, if we were at another page, this time for ID 2, we run the code again, and now we see welcome to the Vue.js course. So this is how we use the find method. Now let's move on to another very important method, which is the map method. The map method is used to create a new array by changing each item in the original array. Now let's see in details how it works. Let's say each course were a big object with many properties, and we wanted to separate only the titles of the courses. We could create a new variable called titles, and we could map the original courses array. And here we are going to run a function that will transform each of the elements. So for every course, we want to return only its title. Now we do a console.log, and when we run this, we can see that now we have a new array that contains only the titles. This is nice, but what if we wanted to keep the original array and just wanted to modify a single property? For example, we want to transform the price and add the currency symbol. And if the course is free, we just want to show free. We could easily do this with the map function. So right here, instead of returning just the course title, we could return the original object. But for this, we're going to have to include curly braces, add the return statement, and we are going to return a new object for each of these elements. Here, we can just use the spread operator to bring the original course. Now I'm going to save this and run just so you can see the result. As you can see, we have an array that looks exactly like the original one, because for every course we found, we returned a new object and brought the properties of each of them. And now the cool thing here is that we can add or transform existing properties. For example, I could add a new instructor property like this. And when we run it again, we can see that each course now has the instructor added. And if you want to modify an existing property, you could do it like this. Since this is an existing property, the new one that we're listing here is going to replace it. Now this time, let's do it differently. Let's do a quick test. If the course.price is greater than 0, then we are going to return the currency symbol and the original price. If not, we are going to return free. Now we do this, and as you can see, we just modified a single property of each of the elements of this array. So for the ones that have a price, we added the currency symbol, and for the ones that are free, we removed the 0 and we added the word free, which would be more user-friendly. So this is how you use the map method to modify array elements. Now it's time to explore the reduce method, which allows us to combine all items in an array in a single value. This is commonly used to accumulate values. For example, to calculate the grand total of an order. So let's change the example a bit. Instead of courses, let's say these are the sales. So I'm going to remove the IDs. I'm going to leave only the title of the course that I'm selling and the price. So let's say I sold the Vue.js course 2 times for 50 each, 1 JavaScript, 1 Git for 10, and 1 Next.js for 30. Now I want to calculate how much money I made from selling these courses. I could use a forEach loop for this, but the reduce method is more efficient for this use case. So let's create a variable for a revenue. And here we are going to get the sales array and we are going to reduce it. Now for this arrow function, we need to pass an accumulator, which in this case, I'm going to call sum, and also the current value of every iteration. So in this case, I'm going to call it item. Let's add the arrow function. And for every iteration, we are going to return the current sum plus the price of each item. Now, the only thing missing is the initial value of the accumulator, which is the sum. And this we pass as the second argument of the reduce method. So the total revenue of selling these courses, let's check it out. was 170. So we can see that the reduce method allows us to easily accumulate values from each of the items in an array. Now to finalize, let's explore the forEach method. This is a simple loop that we can use to run through each element of an array. I just showed you the most efficient methods for the use cases we covered. But sometimes you don't want to create a new array. You just want to perform a simple action for every element of the array. For example, if you wanted to show the user the title of each of the courses, like in the example I showed you with the map function, we could do this without creating a new array. So right here, we don't have to create a new variable. We could just do courses.forEach. And for every course, we can just do a console.log of its title. So we do this. Now we can see that we solved the problem with a smaller and simpler code. So these were the 5 most important JavaScript array methods that I would like to show you today. If you would like to know about any other methods that I haven't covered today, why don't you leave them in the comment section so I can create a new video about it. So that was all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the web schools so you can see more tutorials like this one. So I'll see you next time.